This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast. So great to have you guys on here with me. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And look, I hope you are enjoying a fantastic week so far. It's been going pretty good for us over here. And look, before I get going, look, I didn't know if you'd noticed it on the last episode. I forgot to shout them out. But got some new shirts that you'll see me wearing these throughout my shows. And got to give a quick shout out to CNJ Embroidery for hooking me up. Look, got them up on the screen, and you can find them on Instagram, TikTok, all that great stuff. Hit them up if you need anything done. These guys are super professional. I mean, look, they got a cool design. So, I mean, they're always going to be putting together stuff. You reach out to them, that they work with you. That Jess is phenomenal. I worked with Jess and Chris, so Chris and Jess. That phenomenal. They absolutely loved it. Enjoyed working with them. They hit them up for any of your embroidery needs. You let them know what you need. They make it happen. Okay. And look, and I'm kind of going to continue along the road right here like how we talked about making growth your goal. And one that I think is really important is reading. That reading is so important. It's so vital. And want to make sure before we get into that, though, as we go through our making growth our goal, want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. First we got Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC. And then you'll see 7K Metals. That's Wayne. Hit him up, all your gold and silver needs. Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services. That you need anything done electronically, website, you name it, hit Andrew up. And then we've got Joseph with the Landscape King. You're only going to want to use your outside stuff if it looks the best. If you've got an outdoor space, hit Joseph up, Landscape Kings. He's awesome. And then if you want to reach me, all of my contact information is listed below, coachaclark.com or coach_a_Clark at all social medias. And so look, let's get rocking. Let's get rolling. I want to give you some recommendations, books that I recommend that you read to help you as you go along your personal growth journey. And then also there's some of the books that I've read, or I meant to even talk about it. So I did just finish reading two really good books. But remember, they reach out to me too if you want to go through and discuss, like, hey, I would like this. I think I would like that. I think this is extremely important if you want to continue making 2025 your best year so far. You got to keep working on yourself. You got to keep growing. And that's the only way to do it, is to keep reading. One that's going to always be a recommendation for me, personally, that right here, first recommendation, that is the Bible. If you're a leader of any, there's so many leadership principles in here that it's not just if you can read all of this within a few days, a month or so, more power to you. For me, this is an everyday read. And it takes me like 2.5 years to get through it because I'm not reading more than 2 chapters a day. I do know people that read their Bible, go through the Bible in a year. I like to be a little bit more focused and study as I go through it. Excellent source. Then if you hit Andre up with Faith Racers, if you need a Bible, they will hook you up with one. Okay. But I recommend it. Right now going through the book of, I'm in Deuteronomy. So talking about Moses, about to become Joshua as the leader of the nation of Israel. And there's so many just great things that you can take and apply into your daily life in the Bible itself. I recommend it, highly recommend it. You can't go wrong with this. The Bible, absolutely recommend that you reading that. My next one that I almost always recommend, and I've got a couple of different ones that I like to recommend a lot, but probably my number one, because this is the other book that I make sure I read every single year, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think this is a phenomenal book for you to read. That you need to read it at least once. If you want to be a leader, that's pretty much all you do. You've heard me say it a bunch of times. Leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's in the title, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So give it a read. And they've updated the versions. They've got several. One I had one of my clients read that they said they preferred that in a digital world. So How to Win Friends and Influence People in a digital world. I still like the OG, the original one Dale Carnegie wrote. And it was in the 1930s. But guys, and it's hard to think when you think about it, that was almost 100 years ago now. Dang. But it's the principles they apply still today. And if you want to continue that make the world a better place, read this book. It's so good. And it goes along well that he steals biblical principles out of it. But then Dale Carnegie uses a lot of great examples from classes he's taught, from people he's worked with, from leaders that he's read about. It's so good. And there's the chapters aren't more than 2 or 3 pages. It's a quick read. They go through, they read How to Win Friends and Influence People. That you will not be disappointed with that read. Another one, and kind of staying on that, I'm going to switch it up just a little bit, what I was going to say, because I think this goes well into, so like that, you're wanting to grow and connect with people. But I think another one that's along those lines, because he really talks about it, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. This is another one that I believe is a really good read for you. And Stephen Covey, man, is so good because that's one that I was talking about right here. It's going to talk to you about, think win-win is one of the things that he talks about. That's habit number 4. But you really have to master yourself. And that's one thing why I'm constantly talking about personal growth and personal development and the importance of it, of you becoming a better person. Because the bottom line is, guys, when you become a better person, you can help more people. And so if that's what you're wanting to do, if you're on here, if you're wanting to lead and grow and work to become better, 7 Habits, Highly Effective People. Excellent book. Highly recommend it. And again, you won't be disappointed. Stephen Covey gives a lot of great examples of how to not only help yourself, but then how to go through and help other people. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal book. And then let's say, as you're looking to work and grow, maybe one of your goals is to get fiscally on the right track. Well, this one right here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Go give that a good read. Robert Kiyosaki. And it's one that might be it's unconventional, and that he talks about a lot of things that you may read and go, hold on, he said what? There's no way that works. But I'm telling you that it's such good information, especially those of us that are in the realm of becoming entrepreneurs. He talks a little bit about his that 4 quadrants of businesses. It's a really good book. And just be prepared. You're going to read some stuff in here if you're new to entrepreneurship, new to talking about your finances, getting your finances straight. He's going to talk about the differences between his rich dad and his poor dad. and it's not always going to be what you think. Some of it it's a lot of stuff that needs to be unlearned from what we've learned throughout our education history and our educational journey. So it's such a good read that the first time I read it, and just to give you a little sneak peek, he talks about how your house is really not an asset. Now, I mean, that one got me to put the book down, walk away, because I was like, this dude doesn't know what he was talking about. I picked it up several weeks later, started over. I came into it with an open mind and said, be open. This guy's making a lot of money. He's a multimillionaire. He probably knows a little bit more about money and how to make it than I do. I'd definitely give it a read. So good. So good. Now, if you're wanting to go through like improving product, and here's one that I think is good, and I'm switching gear a little bit, and this is such a good one. I recently read it. I've known I've needed to read it, but I recently read it over the Christmas break, and coming through, even made my son listen to it while we were coming home, going to and from San Antonio while we were racing. And it's so good. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And I know you heard Josh talk about it. And in another episode, I have a friend who's going to talk about it as well, because he likes to talk about who moved my cheese. Why did this happen? Blah, 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 blah. And that's going to be with Sam. Sam is phenomenal. Sam Thomas, I absolutely love the guy. Great man. He's a leader. But that in here, Dr. Spencer Johnson goes through, and he really talks about people that he's known and noticed throughout his career, and how they dealt with change. And so it's such an excellent one. And if you are like, if you're just starting out your personal growth journey, I really recommend it. It's such a good story that he puts it into easy terms to read. My 14-year-old has read most of it. We've listened to it. It's such a good one. They take the time. They read through Who Moved My Cheese. They're real good. Now, as far as like increasing production, how do I become better at this, so on and so forth. Another good read is talking about psychology of things. The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galloway. I recommend this one. I based my entire coaching philosophy. After I read this book, I actually read Pete Carroll's Win Forever program. He read the book he wrote, Win Forever. So Pete Carroll's Win Forever. And that he talked a lot about the inner game of tennis. And so reading that, it really talks about how to get your mind into that peak performance mode and really being able to focus at hand what you're doing, what you're working on. Phenomenal. It's great. That's a good one. Another one that I recommend, as far as if you're looking to do performance, I'm trying to work on production. Boom. The 10X Rule by none other than Lake Charles' own, Grant Cardone. That excellent. I'm telling you that if you read this, and you're wanting to improve things, he's going to talk about do 10 times more than what you think. So if you think it's going to take you a week, it's really probably going to take you 10 weeks. And so do 10 weeks worth of production in a week. And he really talks about ramping up your activity, believing in yourself, and just really getting down to it. That phenomenal book. Uncle G, he's got a lot of other good books too. I really recommend that one though. They also, if you look at if we're talking about production, another one that's going to kick you in the teeth though, and you better be ready for it. It's by Tim Grover. I know you've heard me talk about it. Relentless. It's phenomenal. He talks about going from good to great and not being satisfied with the status quo. Tim Grover. This is going to be one that I read again. I don't know how to put it other than once, and I've listened to it a bunch of times after I've read it. I've read it twice, but it just puts you in such a mind frame that you can go and just attack the day and win the day and go do some really great things. follow him on TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff. He puts out some great stuff. That Tim Grover, I highly recommend. And then if you're working, one that I recommend as you're working on developing yourself as a leader, look no further than this: the 21 Laws of Leadership, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. He's the leadership guru, personal growth development guru, world renowned. That leaders of nations are seeking him out for their training. Go through. This is one of the ones that really helped me as I started to develop and started going on championship runs. It's one that I thumbed through. Just to, what do you say on this? How does he feel about this? What does he say about that? It's just so good to be able to go through and really focus and hone in on how do I want to develop myself as a leader. And remember, leadership, it's influence, nothing more, nothing less. If you find yourself thinking you're a leader and you turn around to see who's following you and you see there's nobody, you're just out for a walk. And he really goes through and talks about how to hone in on what you're good at in leadership and realize that even though he says there's 21 laws, you can't be great at all 21. Some of us, we're not even good at any of them. But that's where becoming and being a smart leader, you recognize, hey, here are my deficiencies. Let me find somebody who that's their strength and get them to help me. Wonderful book. Highly recommend this one as well. Another really good one. You're not sure, hey, what do I want to do? Trying to get some motivation. Love Chase the Lion by Mark Batterson. Oh man, he talks about having God-sized dreams and really going after it, and one of the things he talks about is if your dreams don't scare you, it's not big enough. And go after it. Make sure it's something that you can't possibly do on your own. It's got to be God-instilled dreams. And one of them this book always makes me think about one of my late mentors, Roy Jenkins. Roy had this big dream of bringing the gospel to every single motor track in Louisiana. And he talked about it. And whenever I got in that motocross ministry, that was one of the things he talked about was how I've been doing this for 30 years, and man, it's starting to grow, it's starting to push. And really, I can go back, the law of reaping and sowing that he talks about in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the law of return. It's going to come back. You might not reap the benefits, but somebody else will. If you put in the work, set the pavement. That Mark talks about that in here, about how some of his dreams, some of the things that he was able to accomplish, he wasn't the one that started and set forward and put in motion. It was a dream of somebody else. It's so good. And these are another great story. Mark Batterson, all of these, anybody can go and pick up. And one that I'll tell you to go get the Libby app. If you hadn't got the Libby app, or if they go get your library card, go to your local library, get your library card. And your local libraries now have books that you can rent. You can get audio copies, you can download electronic copies, and it's right here. You can get it on your phone, you can get it on your tablet, you can get it on your computer. You can get it wherever. And they make it so easy. So you might be thinking like, man, you're giving me 5, 6, 7 recommendations at $20 a pop. That's $140. I don't have $140 right now. But look, I probably messed that math up. But look, you don't need that if you go through the Libby app. And one that I recommend is after I read Chase the Lion, I downloaded the copy in the audiobook and listened to the audio version. So go and listen to the audio version after you've read the book. That way it reinstills what you've learned. It regathers it and makes it great. One that I just finished, I left it in the living room, is Hire Like You Just Beat Cancer by James Roddy. really good book, and going through hiring techniques and how to make sure you're doing the proper vetting and taking care of that to ensure that you put the right people in there in your business. Phenomenal book. That's one I know I've struggled that with as a hiring manager, is how to, I'm constantly hiring. It's the cycle over and over and over again. But he gives a really good that, you know, hey, here are different strategies to use to make sure you get the right people. Slow down, make it a little bit more extensive. That if it runs people off, good. It doesn't matter, because you want the right people in there. And then one that I just finished reading as well, that is Winning with People by John Maxwell. It's similar to, it's kind of like his version of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Still a really great book, as it's talking about how to deal with different types of people in certain situations to make sure that it's always a win-win scenario. Books that I'm looking to read. As soon as I get done, or since I'm done now, one that I really want to start, and I'm between these two books right at the time, and I also got the another book that a client's want me to read, called based off the Wolf of Wall Street through Jordan Belfort, and his sales training strategy. So I'm looking forward to reading that as well. But I'm kind of in between right now as well. Do I want to read You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins? If you hadn't listened to heard anything with David Goggins, the dude is absolutely relentless. I can't, when I listen to him, I'm like, dang, man, you know what? I'm going to turn this off. I ain't doing enough. I got to go do more. Phenomenal. I've heard a lot of people tell me, highly recommend that read Can't Hurt Me. So I'm wanting to do that. You know, that's what it says right there on the front. Master your mind and defy the odds. Over $4 million or over 4 million copies sold. So it's one that I'm looking forward. It's going to be read this year by me. And then the other is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's one that is talking about, you know, taking the little things and how the little things set you up to do the right thing. So yeah, that's what it says on the top. Tiny changes, remarkable results. I've sat through a class that somebody else did on a training with this, and I'm really looking forward to reading Atomic Habits. So those are two that I know I'm going to read this year. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins and Atomic Habits. Just finished two other ones. And then this is an everyday read for me. That is the Bible, because of the leadership applications that come with it. And then again, I'm referencing episode 5. Of the Clark Connection podcast, if you're looking for those 7 ways to do personal development and growth, go listen to that episode. I really break down the 7 different ways in there. And so, wrapping things up, I know I threw a lot at you. I know we covered a lot of different things. But I think it's so important that we start slow. Pick something that you may say, I'm not a reader. And that's why whenever I come through, I would recommend that such a good read. If you're not a reader, it's easy. It's a great story, and it's really applicable. Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Keep wanting to say Spencer Calican, you know, the lawyer. 3872323. But Who Moved My Cheese is a phenomenal read. Another good, if you're looking to get to peak performance, The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galloway. And set a timer. And contact me too. Like, seriously, there's so many different things that I've read that I can help you figure out where you need to read, what you need to read next. I'm trying to remember what I recommended somebody the other day, potential client. It was The Managerial Moment of Truth. So they were struggling with, how do I have these difficult conversations? And I was like, boom, we got to get you started on there. If that's where you're at in your business, let's get you going. So reach out to me. I love talking about this stuff. I kind of as there's, I geek out over it because I know what it's done for me, and I want it to do the same thing for you. So, and if I don't know what might be a good one, I've got friends, I've got other people I know that are going through their personal growth development, and I would love to be able to help you with that. Okay, and so yeah, if you need anything, look, all of my contact information, it's listed below, but I'm going to share it for you one more time up on the screen. You can see it right there on my website or via social media, and I will get back to you. It'll be me. It'll be Aaron, Coach Clark, reaching out to you from within 24 to 48 hours. Okay. And so if you're looking, even if you're looking for somebody to lead a conference, if you're looking for somebody to help you with putting together some training for you, your team, whatever it may be, hit me up. Would love to help you get going on that journey, okay, and then keep you inspired. All of that, again, it's listed below. And so remember, guys, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and I will see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_a_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with CNJ Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.